Welcome. This is Power Trading Radio Live. Power Trading Radio Live, fueled by Online Trading Academy. For more information on the show, visit us online at powertradingradio.com. Now, here's your host, Merlin Rothfeld.
Never going to live down those boots, I'll tell you that. Welcome to Power Trading Radio, everyone. Merlin Rothfeld with you for your Thursday afternoon edition. A fantastic day out there, if you will. The numbers are in. We talked about on yesterday's show on how retail sales really give us an idea of how the previous Christmas season, holiday season shopping went. Of course, we know that's such a great catalyst for the markets. And lo and behold, not only do we have a huge surge in core, not in the regular retail sales numbers, but also with some companies reporting earnings. The past few days for banks have been absolutely fantastic, and you've seen some huge numbers there, which of course vaulted these markets for the most part to all-time highs. The song remains the same, as Led Zeppelin would say. Before I dive into that, let me tell you about our guest today. We're going to have Ron Lembo on the program. Ron is going to give us some insights into what markets he's looking at, what asset classes he's trading. Of course, if you don't know who he is, he did an introductory show. It's the first time on the program, I think 3 weeks ago. You can check the archives for that one. Ron is an instructor with Online Trading Academy, and he explained his style, how we got into it, some of the obstacles he overcame. I won't focus too much on that today. What I will focus on is actually trade setups and your listener questions. So if you have some, feel free to send those on in at powertradingradio.com. You can click the button there that says Power Blast, or go to our YouTube channels. We're broadcasting under Online Trading Academy's YouTube channel, as well as, what other channel are we on? Power Trading Radio and Online Trading Academy's YouTube channel. So those are where we'll be broadcasting today's show. All right, that said, I will get you some charts here in just a second. I know some of you are eagerly waiting for that. Let's start things off with your worst performer, and I say worst. Look, when you have a day like cryptocurrency's had, the past few days, it's nice to have a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a reprieve. Of course, not everything could be positive today, as you'll see with some of these indexes. Bitcoin was your worst performer out of the 7 that we start with. And as you can see here on this chart, it wasn't that bad of a day. Really now 1.37%. We'll take it. 8,710 is where Bitcoin is at as we speak. That is a decline of $121 per Bitcoin, or as I mentioned, 1.37%, which puts it by a large margin your worst performer on the day. Let's jump on over to Click and check out what we've got cooking for number 6. This is gold. You'll see that the gold chart here, it's actually showing negative, down 0.1%, so we'll call it pretty much unchanged. It's a slide of $1.50 per ounce of gold. But the candles here really are just kind of compressed, small, not a lot really happening over the past 3 days. 15.52 per ounce is where we stand right now with gold, and there's really not much of for us to speak with regards to that chart. I know you guys always like when I do a little bit more analysis, but there's nothing to talk about with that one. It's just basically the same old thing for gold, at least for the time being, with this little kind of sideways hesitation for 3 or 4 days. All right, number 5. S&P 500, just a fantastic looking chart here for S&P. We had those 2 little hesitation candles, and I mentioned for the NASDAQ and for the ES, you had really this hesitation moment. And normally when you have a big move up and you have this little hesitation, there is a move to the south side. Well, yesterday we didn't break the lows from the previous day. Today we opened up and just kept on running. Of course, that is going to be largely in part to Morgan Stanley's earnings announcement, maybe ASML's reporting earnings, as well as some of the macroeconomic news. Certainly retail sales, I believe, is the major catalyst for today's rally up. On this daily chart, you can see just a huge green candle, akin to one we saw 3 trading sessions ago, just ripping through all-time highs. S&P was up 0.84%. 3,316 is where we finished at today for the S&P 500. And, you know, when you have your 5th place finisher up 0.86 or 84, you know it's going to be a good day for those other indexes. That said, let's jump on over to NASDAQ, which came in a 4th place, slightly better than the S&P 500, but the exact same picture. Yesterday, we had a little bit more hesitation and weakness in the NASDAQ than we did in the S&P, but lo and behold, we have pretty much the same chart pattern right now, and it did rip. NASDAQ today, the composite was up 1.06%, finishing the day at 9,357, a gain of nearly 100 points on the day for the composite, and NASDAQ 100 is what you're looking at here, which looks pretty darn good as well. Podium time it is. Normally when you see these big rallies up like this in the indexes, we see the futures market, or not futures market, the bonds and treasuries maybe take a little bit of a dive. Well, that's kind of what happened, because the yield was up 1.17%. Again, these kind of 1% yield moves aren't that big of a deal. We're at 1.809. Again, you can see a small little red candle there, pretty much erasing the gains you saw in yesterday's 10-year Treasury note futures product. So all in all, not that big of a deal with our number 3, but from a percentage basis, it was your 3rd place. Okay, crude oil brings in our 2nd place podium spot. There you can see I thought we continued to drift down. Maybe people thinking we bottomed out here in crude oil. There's no real demand level at this current location, so something else may be causing that, but it's not a demand zone by any stretch of the imagination. Right now you're looking at a nice little move up on the day for crude oil. It was up 78 cents per barrel. 1.35% gain to 58.59, and it's up a few cents in our after-hour session as well, so continuing to move higher for crude oil. But that wasn't your best performer. It was close, but not the best. We have Russell 2000 taking that top spot today. Closed the day at 1705. Best looking candle by far, just so stretched and extended here with regards to market movement today. Opened at the lows, closed right near the dead high, so obviously a very nice formation. If we look back, I should probably just leave this line on the chart. We'll go weekly, and maybe I'll have TJ throw this one on, and we'll just keep it there for a while, which will be kind of that all-time high, so we just kind of know where we were at there. Right around 1747 is the high there. I'll probably have to get that in exactly for you. The all-time high for Russell 2000 is 1746. So we'll label that one, but we are ripping towards that right now. You're basically 39 points away from an all-time high in the Russell 2000. Given the way these markets are moving, would not be surprised to see it rip through that one as well. But of course, if the Russell gets up there, guys, you understand a lot of these other indexes are going to be making significantly higher highs because Russell has been the weaker of the three indexes that we look at, the NASDAQ, Russell, and the S&P. Been the weaker for the better part of a year now. So we'll have to wait and see how that one pans out. But that is your top 7 market indexes. Hopefully some of that puts some green into your pocket. Main reason why this was moving today, I'll run through these numbers real quick because obviously a lot of this is economic data driven. We were starting off our equity session, if you go way back to the wee hours of the morning, not on a really good note. We can probably bring up the S&P in 5 minutes so you guys can see what that might look like. But it really was starting off rather weak. It did not look so good to start. That was basically that sell-off we saw there. There you go. You guys can see some weakness in the evening there. And then all of a sudden when this data came out and earnings announcement, we just started to rip to the upside and really haven't looked back ever since. Now, what were the numbers that caused that? Well, we had talked about manufacturing data. I made it a point really over the past couple months that manufacturing data is going to be key for our markets to continue to sustain any sort of upward trajectory. It's just one of the pieces, right? Well, the Empire State number barely was better yesterday. I think it was 3 and it came out, it ended up being 4. Big deal, right? Anything at 0 or below 0 is contraction. Today, the Philly Fed numbers are actually a bit of a surprise. The previous month was 0.3, which basically, let's just call that no growth, right? It's just a glimmer, just a tiny little bit. That was the previous. The expectation was we're going to jump to 3.7, which would be a decent increase. Came out at 17 today. Now, that's not out of the woods. You know, you'd like to see a manufacturing index number at, 30, 40, 50, 60, something like that. But 17, hey, it's a start, especially when it's beating by that much. That's a really good sign from the manufacturing perspective, which I believe is one piece that we saw help boost these markets today. Of course, we could talk about trade deals, et cetera, but I think it's more economic and fundamental data driven today. The real piece, the real catalyst was retail sales. That was no surprise. I think we all expected the holiday season to do rather well. When you take in the retail sales calculations and you look at it all as a whole, month over month, the expectations were we're going to stay just the same, from 0.3% to 0.3%, right? Just keep that steady growth. But when you take in core, now what core does, it strips out automobiles. When you take out the automobile factor of it, it actually makes it feel like automobiles was dragging down retail sales. Because what we saw was a big increase when you take out automobiles. You ended up with, they expected it to go from from 0 to 0.5. We came out at 0.7. So that's a significant increase in that retail sales number. Now, granted, it's not like a percentage point or 2, but that's month over month. So that's a pretty big move. I think that's part of the reason why you saw these moves today. I had a question from David V. He power blasts these ones in. He says, British pound, Australian dollar, and AUD USD pairs at 8:30 Central. British pound ripped through my short setup with a 100-pip move and stopped me out. At the same time, my active short on the AUD USD went in my favor. I didn't see anything going on. If you look at those bottoming points there, and TJ, maybe we can just real quick, I don't want to take up too much time on this one, but here's your British pound AUD. Let's go 5 minutes on this one, not 5 seconds. That's a tiny time frame right there. Notice this huge move. This is that move that David is talking about taking him out. Well, that starting point, right at that low, if you look at the S&P futures, was right about the same time. So these moves coincided from a breakout perspective and things ripping to the upside. Therefore, to me, that's the important part. Is it started basically with the S&P, and I believe that our economic data is the piece that pushed those ones even higher. So even though they're currencies, there is direct correlation. They say the U.S. markets are the dog that wags the tail. Well, I believe that that's absolutely right, and the rest of the world kind of following suit. So that means even your global currencies would start to follow suit there. So that's where we ended up with today. A pretty nice day overall for our markets, unless you're in the Bitcoin space. But I think if you look at the performance for the year so far, Bitcoin is beating the equity markets. But that's, we got a long way to go with regards to the remainder of the year. Real quickly, Damien, I haven't talked to you in a while, my friend. Good to hear a message from you. You asked about palladium. Now, we had the palladium. We were talking about this one the other day with Rick Rule on the program. I'll bring up palladium because it is one of those charts you just look at and just go, that is crazy performance. Put that on a daily, TJ, so we can see the longer term. There you go. If you were in palladium, I would say exit right now. Get out. Why? Because that's a huge shooting star formation on today's chart for the daily on palladium. That is a very bearish sign. After a move like this, you certainly would expect a pullback in palladium. Damien says, what are your thoughts on it? Well, I don't know much. I'm not the expert in mining or all the different factors that go into the extraction of these metals like palladium or platinum and et cetera. I know more about gold, but what we have here is a situation of something that even Rick Rule said on the program last Friday, and you can check the archives, go check Rick Rule. He had a lot to comment on this one. I think you have something that moved a little bit too far, too fast. It would not surprise me whatsoever to see a significant pullback here. I'm not talking getting down to the 1600 mark, but could you see it drop all the way down to maybe the 2100? Sure. I think there's obviously a spot right around 2050. Right around 2050, 2070, which would be a logical pullback point. So I'd lock in some profits on this one if I were you, Damien. There you go. All right, that will do it for our opening segment here on Power Trading Radio. We're going to have Ron Lembo on the program on the phone after the break. If you have questions regarding anything to do with trading, feel free to send those on in at powertradingradio.com. You can click that little button there that says Power Blast. Of course, for all you podcasters out there, thank you so much. If you want to know more, you can visit powertradingradio.com. And for our YouTubers, our regulars out there, hello, Ruben and Gizmo and Unscammable. Well, good to have you back. I don't see Brendan out there today. That's on our Power Trading Radio YouTube channel. Chadsbury, seem all alone and quiet out there on our Online Trading Academy YouTube channel, and I can see a bunch of you guys watching. So say hello, join some discussion, send them some questions, and we'll be right back with Ron Lembo after a short break.
What if you knew the income strategies professional investors used? The strategies designed to generate active income from the financial markets. After all, no one's going to care more about your money than you.
I learned that I can be in control of my 401k.
I used to work for money, now I have my money working for me.
With the right training and guidance, you can learn the skills to become a more confident investor and make your money work harder for you. Want to find out what's possible for you? You can, as long as you're willing to take the first step and call OTA today.
Call for your free tickets right now, and you'll also receive a free Professional Insiders kit loaded with lessons from some of our top instructors on topics like enhancing your retirement strategy, capital preservation, and income generation. The Professionals Insider Kit makes it so you can get started right now.
Call 888-304-8723 or visit us online at tradingacademy.com and schedule your free class today.
Click is something I wish I had when I started because it facilitates the learning process a lot quicker.
This is not about taking many trades, it's about taking the right trade.
It helps me save myself from myself. It's just a revolutionary educational tool. It propels you through the learning curve.
The biggest shock for me is the level of innovation that happens within the company, and it's continuing.
It's just perfect in this new century of trading.
Everyone's on the same side, and I think that's what I love about it more than anything else. Helping each other, supporting each other, all with the same objective. Again, wonderful.
There's no mountain high enough that the leaders in this organization won't climb for their students. They'll just never give up.
It can only help. It can only make one a better trader.
Gives you one of the most valuable things we all have, and that's time.
Welcome back to Power Trading Radio Live and your host, Merlin Rothfeld, with today's special guest.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Power Trading Radio. It is your Thursday edition. Generally, Thursdays is a wealth management type of show, but as you guys have seen over the years, we kind of just do whatever the heck we want to do on the show, unless you guys send us specific pointed questions and direction to take it. We just kind of go wherever we want. Our guest today, was in studio a few weeks ago, and I always love to, when I have a first-timer on the program, someone who might be a new instructor or a new trader on my Trading Academy, to talk about their background and upbringing so they can kind of see the journey that they've taken, because every single person who comes into Online Trading Academy has their own journey, their own story. Some are brought into the institutional side because of family members or maybe in college. Others just kind of fall into it by accident. Others, like myself, just realize, you know what? I need to learn this because the thought of taking the money that I've worked really hard to earn and grow it at a faster rate than maybe I could with a financial advisor or something, that appealed to me. So that's what brought me into it. Ron Lembo is our guest today, and he was on, again, talking about his background. Today we're not going to talk too much about the background, probably talk more about these financial markets. So send in questions if you have some. Ron, how you doing today?
Merlin, how you doing? I'm doing well, thanks again. It's an honor always to be on.
Yeah, well, I have a feeling you're going to be on much more in the near future. You know that, right? You're committed now.
Hey, no problem. I know. If you can't get all out, might as well go all in, right? Why not?
Nice. Look, we've got a very interesting market situation. We are at all-time highs for most of the major market indexes. That was funny. I was talking with Steve Moses yesterday, and Steve Moses is one of those traders who will do specific spread trades, right? He's looking for things that are range bound, and it was interesting because yesterday he talked a little bit about how he had to kind of change his style right now because you're not seeing things very range bound. Basically what you're getting is something that might range for a little bit, but it breaks out to the upside, makes a higher low. So he's adjusting that strategy out there. I don't know if you have any modifications that you've been making as we've seen these markets continue to go to all-time highs.
Oh, absolutely. The idea of taking any type of non-directional bias in this environment, I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. Maybe on the day, if we have a day trade or an hourly income trade, you may be able to find a strong supply zone, to consider for profit. But as for the U.S. equities pausing, holding, and turning anytime soon in a big way, I don't see it happening. I mean, a lot of people that I talk to say, well, it's a 5-year cycle, or it's a 10-year cycle, or we're overdue 13 years, or whatever. It brings me back to a Russian economist. His name was Nikolai, and I'm going to butcher his last name, but it's Kondiev. All right, I'm going to try to get close to that. He was, first of all, he was a Russian trying to promote capitalism in communist Russia. I mean, what's wrong with that, right?
Sure.
Yeah. But his idea of 40 to 60-year market cycles is what I kind of tend to see what we have unfolding here. And one of his things was that when the last of a depression era generation dies, so starts the next cycle of boom.
Right.
And we could be dealing with that.
Well,
so be it.
It's exactly. I think that's the main point. Is so be it. It's just go with it and kind of enjoy it. Well, I've had to change a few things I do as well. Longer term, my biases are more shorting. I believe that there's going to be that correction. But the problem is, when you have these things ripping all-time highs, you have to shelve that bias because I've been wrong so many times and go with the long stuff. So lately it's been longs, which is against my better judgment, but it's what the market's asking me to do. So hey, we'll do it that way.
Yeah.
What sort of things are you looking at there? I know you trade a wide variety of products. I know you do a lot with commodities and indexes and individual stocks.
You name it. Sure.
What's your topic du jour? What are some of your favorites right now?
Well, right now I was able to get long cotton right around the 69 3/4 mark, right, and between 69 and a half, which was looking good. I did miss the big move on nat gas today by a couple. I was really hoping to get in somewhere around it was like 2.182, but it just the prices didn't come that far up. But yeah, cotton right around 69 3/4. It was what I've been able to get into today. And
let's break those down one by one. Let's start one by one. And
right.
So I've got natural gas up here right now. Unfortunately, I might be able to pull up NG on a different platform. With cotton, I don't pay for those data feeds, so I don't get the intraday charts. I just get dailies, which is fine. We can work from there. But let's take a look at natural gas. With regards to natural gas, it gets tricky at this point, right? Because you have this beautiful downtrending chart with natural gas, and for the viewers out at home that are looking at this, we're looking at really 1 year and going all the way from December of 2018. Might even zoom out a little bit more. We really peaked in November and December of 2018, right around 490. And you've seen this aggressive sell-off all the way through August, which brought natural gas down to about 2, right? So you're looking at over 50, close to 65% decline. It looked nice, right? For the next couple months, it started to make some new highs, higher lows. Felt like that trend may have reversed. And lo and behold, since November of 2019, we've really just been in this aggressive sell-off. Now, my question for you is, I noticed you mentioned you're talking about going short between that kind of 2182 and 2195 mark. What sort of risk management are you implementing here? Because when you're shorting something, no big deal, right? Shorting's fine as long as you understand the risk. But the lower we get on natural gas, meaning getting near that 2 mark, which seems to be that line in the sand, it becomes a little bit iffy with regards to shorting. So do you take that into consideration when you're making these short plays?
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I do agree. My assumption here is that prices are low and they're going to go lower. I could be wrong, of course. And I'm not going to take on a full position side until the market has told me that I'm correct. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, it's just one of those things, because like TJ, zoom out a little bit further here on natural gas. When you know that the floor is in sight, it gets kind of noteworthy, if you will, to try to short or as you're near that floor. And you can see, you put a horizontal line right there. Now, back in 2016, we were certainly lower than 2 on natural gas. Where's that? Give me a line, TJ. His art skills are not working so well today. Okay, there we go. We'll just drag it out. Perfect. And there you guys can see the most recent lows in natural gas, bouncing off that $2 mark, maybe just a little bit higher. Now back here in 2016, as I mentioned, we were way down there. We hit significantly lower than that, down to about the 150 mark. But that again may be a different era, different extraction resources, whatever. Right now, it looks pretty weak. Now, is there a point here with natural gas where you'd look at it and say, you know what? I have to shelve my short bias and maybe start to look at this in long position, because I know that for the longer term people, they're thinking, hey, this thing's going to get back up to 4 again. It's going to back up to 5, and now we're down to 2. It starts to become a value play here.
I agree. Yeah, I will. Once I see that we have pivot highs being broken and we have buyers coming into the marketplace and we see a shift in momentum, absolutely. At a moment's time, I could be wrong on this one in the next 5 minutes, for all I know. But practicing proper risk management and looking for opportunities, that's just what we do, Merlin, I guess. And, I guess you could say that. Yeah. So, it's there. And the premise of this trade is that, yes, it's low. And my expectation is that we could be going even lower.
Yeah.
That's where I am on natural gas.
No, I like it, and it was good. And the only reason I ask is because I know a lot of people are going to look at that and go, "The hell are you doing? You're shorting near the low." And guys, it's okay to short lows. Now, shorting the dead low, not a good idea. But if you notice the setup here that Ron is looking at, he's basically saying, I've got a supply zone, and we're not going to go into how that supply zone was calculated, but if it rallies back up to that zone, which Ron feels strongly about, then there's a higher probability that this trend, which has been pushing down for months now, will continue to push it down further. And maybe you get down to that $2 mark. And, of course, with the leverage that you get with some of these futures products, you capture a 20-cent move on the natural gas futures product, you're making some pretty good money. So it's and this isn't like an investment trade. This is something that could be a couple days, maybe a couple weeks, right?
Sure, absolutely. And if you look at it on the 4-hour chart, if you can do that,
see if it'll let me.
Okay, no big deal. But,
there you go. I got it. 4 hours up.
Cool. Yeah. So there's an area right up there. Just a little high. I was just a little bit higher than where it peaked, and that comes along to another topic of the psychology of trading, where you were that close, but that was just another fish that got away, I guess.
Yeah. It's the story of any trader out there, really. Come on.
Story of any trader. Yeah, exactly, Merlin. Exactly.
If you're the type of trader who says you've never had a trade get away from you, then you're probably taking every trade that you could possibly take, and that makes you a bad trader. Selection.
Yeah.
Be selective out there. All right. Ron Lembo is our guest today. We were talking about natural gas. When we come back, we'll take a look at maybe cotton, maybe some other ones out there. I noticed you were talking about cryptos, which I know will make a lot of our viewers happy. We have some that love it, some that hate it. But you know what? Since I'm the one with the microphone in front of my face, we'll probably talk about cryptos for a little bit. So, guys, if you have questions,
let's mix it up.
Yeah, let's do it. Guys, if you have questions for Ron or myself, feel free to send those on in on our Power Trading Radio YouTube channels. You can go to Online Trading Academy's YouTube channels as well. Say hi to everybody out there. Make some friends, all right? You got a bunch of trading people out here who like to talk about the markets, and sometimes the conversations go different than what we're talking about here on the show. It's okay. Have fun out there. If you ever listen to the podcast, though, go to powertradingradio.com. Click the Power Blast button to send in questions just here in the studio. We'll be right back with Ron Lembo.
Learning this way is fine when the stakes are low. But when the stakes are high, you need to rely on skill, not just knowledge. At Online Trading Academy, you build your skill one step at a time. We teach our students to trade and invest with a strategy, not a hunch. You learn our methodology, then practice it. You get to make mistakes and ask questions, and watch instructors make live trades. Develop your skill the right way. Click here to get started with Online Trading Academy.
Meet Mac. As a trader, he liked the signals that came from technical analysis tools, but they didn't help him find the best trades consistently, so he searched for a new approach. Mac attended Online Trading Academy's free class and discovered their core strategy, a trading methodology that spots when big banks are likely buying and selling, so everyday investors can too. Mac carved out a path to trade and invest with confidence, and so can you.
You've been listening to Power Trading Radio, live, fueled by Online Trading Academy. To learn more, visit us online at powertradingradio.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Power Trading Radio. It is your Thursday edition. We've got Ron Lembo on the phone today talking about, whatever we really want to talk about out there. I see a few different questions coming in, so I will try to get through those as we progress. If you haven't sent them on in, we're talking social media channels like YouTube and Online Trading Academy's YouTube, Power Trading Radios as well. All right, Ron, at the beginning of the program, you mentioned cotton, not one that I usually trade, and TJ brought up the daily chart out here and put some levels on it. What sort of things are you looking for cotton here, which has had a heck of a swing going back into August?
Well, it's all boiling down to looking for, finding, and identifying the unfilled orders and where they could possibly be, looking at strong areas of supply and demand, always before we even look at any type of indicator or anything else. So that's the first thing that I took a look at. I like that we're on the daily in a bit of an upward momentum, and with a bit of a pullback, I looked to get in and let it run from there up to about 71 and a half or so is where I'm hoping to get out as my final target. I like the idea of having the seasonality as sort of my wind in the wind at my back, where I'm not making any type of counter seasonal trend or counter seasonal play. I see that here on the daily. There's some room for it to run. There is some momentum. Really limited risk, high probability reward. Sign me up.
Yeah, I like it. No, and it goes back to what we've been talking about just with the major market indexes. I mean, if you were to strip out the cotton at the top of this chart, I think we could all say, gee, it looks like the U.S. equity indexes, right? You got things just ripping all-time highs. You buy the pullbacks, and I think it's a similar situation here with this cotton trade that you have set up. So nice, I like that one. Question coming in from Brendan. Brendan says, question for Ron. How much of your money do you reserve for active trading, and what do you do with the rest of it? So I guess the question more is, how are you allocating between your different trading styles of longer term versus shorter term?
Good question. On the income side of things, you prepare. The best thing to do, in my opinion, would be to prepare for margin fluctuations. So you would want to be able to have some positions, to have some working capital to allow yourself some positions to hold within the futures market. Maybe have some cash on the sidelines there to be open for opportunities or future opportunities. And then for the wealth side, that's an open-ended question depending upon the student or the person, in my opinion. But one thing that I definitely do believe in and do like the idea of is within that wealth bucket or wealth trading, if I'm going to split it up, it's going to be cash. There'll be very little leverage in that side and in that bucket.
I think
So I hope that helps.
Yeah, I think the challenge here is there are some traders, and I think this is maybe a problem that people who start out, where they do everything in one bucket. So to say what do you appropriate for short-term intraday income trading or longer-term wealth, that gets kind of convoluted because it's all in one basket. I mean, I have a lot of different accounts where I know that in this one account, that's just going to be long-term investment stuff. And then this account over here might be very short-term. I even have 2 junk accounts, which are my total gambling accounts, where I'll just throw a dart, if I see something, my Hail Mary trading accounts where I have fun with those. So over the years, I've found the necessity to do that, because what will happen is if you blend all these things together, here's what happens. So for those of you that are thinking right now that you just got one trading account, you're going to do long-term, you're going to do short-term, here is what caused me to make that separation. I was in some trades back in the late 90s. Actually, I've been in these trades many times. The late 90s when it really started to kick me in the butt. And they went like this. I started off buying 1,000 shares of a stock as a day trade. And I'm thinking, okay, great. I'm going to try to make a quarter point on it, make $250. Fantastic. And it starts to drop against me. And I look at it at the end of the day, and I'm going, oh, man, I just know this thing's going to rally tomorrow. Look at this chart. It has to do it. So I made the mistake of holding it overnight. And, of course, when you hold 1,000 shares of a stock that's running in, $90, that's $90,000 worth of capital that gets tied up. So all of a sudden, what was meant to be a day trade now became a swing trade. And then it would keep dropping, and I wouldn't do what I was supposed to do, which is get out. Didn't really have a plan in place because it was supposed to be a day trade. And now all of a sudden, I'm holding this thing, and it becomes a position trade. So I've completely cannibalized all of the capital in that account on an erroneous bad trade, a trade that should not have happened in the first place. So that's why I earmark these accounts and say, hey, this is day trading only. What does that mean? I have to be out by the end of the day. This account over here might be longer term investments. So what does that mean? That means I'm not going to be trading 1,000 share blocks. I might be trading, 2, 3, 400 shares depending on the price of the security, but I have rules in place so that I don't lock up all the capital in one specific trade like I did. And that's what caused me to make those changes years ago. All of you will have to find out exactly what your mix is, but it's going to be different for everybody.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, Marlon. Good answer.
Oh, thanks. Almost like I've been doing this a long time.
Right?
Are you a crypto fan? I know we've got viewers right now that no matter what you say, someone's going to love you and someone's going to hate you. But are you a crypto fan?
Only in fascination only. Fascination only. I will say that I am respecting of them. I'm just starting to tickle into the arena. So if you said like you had your Throw Your Dart fund or your Throw Your Dart account, that's how I'm looking at the cryptos right now. Personally, I don't think that the first washout, if you will, of all the phony balonies has actually happened just yet. I think that it was a pretty cool thing that there's futures contracts and now options on the Bitcoins coming in and showing some strength. So, like it or not, they're here to stay.
Yeah.
But will I be able to buy a head of lettuce with using Bitcoin pretty soon? I don't know. I don't think that. But as for moves and volatility and trading opportunities, I think it's a great instrument. Sure.
Yeah.
That's what you want, right?
Yeah. It's funny. There are some rumors circulating, and I think this has been part of the reason we've seen a catalyst in all the crypto space. There are rumors that the Fed is talking about digitizing the dollar. Of course, I think the infrastructure is there, depending on how they do the encryption. Basically, what that would mean is we would no longer need to have any money in our wallet. Your iPhone could now be your digital wallet, and you could just sit there and I could instantly send money anywhere I want, blah, blah, blah. Which, from an ease of functionality perspective, I think is great. From a big brother is watching and knowing everything I do about every single transaction, that I'm not a fan of. So, there's obviously two sides to this coin. But I think it's coming, and I think that these rumors that the Fed is going to announce its plans to digitize the dollar really was a catalyst for a lot of these cryptos over the past couple of days, and I think it'll continue. I think once you see a high-level adoption from the Fed or a central bank or a government for cryptos, and a major government, not a tiny government as we've seen happen already, then that will legitimize the space even more, and all those naysayers will be like, oh, okay, well, maybe I should learn about crypto as opposed to just bashing it all the time. And, there's some good sides and some bad sides to it, to be sure. Let's see. Where are you at today? Are you teaching on it today?
I'm in Scottsdale. I'm hanging out with Maggie, my daughter, today. We have a daddy-daughter day going on.
Nice.
It's the Barrett-Jackson week, so the fancy cars are in town, and so are a lot of the tourists to see the show. Traffic's a little heavy, but Nope. Next Monday or next week, we start Strategic Investor at the Scottsdale campus. Then the following week, we'll have the same class in Chandler, Arizona. So we have 2 of our locations. The third location here in Peoria should be open, or Glendale, same kind of area of the city, should be open here right around May 1st or so. So I've been staying busy here in the Valley of the Sun, and next month's off to Baltimore, and then after that, sunny Seattle.
Wow.
And so we're looking forward to it, Merlin. Yeah, it's a good time getting out there and helping other folks.
Yeah, that's a great
I like it.
Traveling and teaching and conveying your experience is always a good one. All right, last rogue question for you, just because you threw out Barrett Jackson. Warren Buffett comes to your house and says, you know what? Forget Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes. That's a bunch of hoolah. I am going to buy you any vehicle you want, any car that you want. And you're at the Barrett Jackson out there. If you had your dream car, I may start asking everybody this question. You have your dream car. You can only pick one. What would it be? See, you brought up Barrett Jackson. You threw me. You just made me ask this question. You're like,
did you? I get. Okay, so I would think that it would have to be some type of 1970 or 60 something big, stylish, gas guzzling convertible. So give me some type, stylish cruiser.
You don't have one. Like, doesn't everybody have their go-to? Like, this should be one of those really easy questions where you just go, boom, it's going to be this. Like for me, I mean, I could say there's 2. If I was going to go vintage, mine without a doubt is the car that I just sold, which is 1955 Porsche 550 Spyder. That's my dream car. I've always wanted, and I had it. If I went modern, I would probably go with the Koenigsegg Agera. That would be the ultimate dream car for me. So there you go. Now you guys know. So if you want to buy me Christmas presents, there you go.
Or you have a reason to come out to Scottsdale next year to come to the show.
They do have Barrett Jackson here walking distance from my home, but I appreciate the offer.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Make it a thing.
All right. So next time, I want you to think about this one. I want you to send me a picture. Next time you're on the show, YouTube, Google, whatever you got to do, find a picture of your dream car. I'm gonna make I'll do a side tangent here for Online Trading Academy, which is here's the traders and instructors, and here's their dream car. Some of the traders I know actually own their dream car, which is that's the ultimate goal is have all the toys you want. All right, Ron, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you stay nice and warm out there in Arizona. Thanks for coming on today. We appreciate it.
It's always a pleasure, Merlin. Thank you.
All right, take care. Guys, that was Ron Lembo. He's in Arizona. That's his local spot. So he'll be teaching at the 2 centers down there, and the third one will be opening soon up in Glendale or Peoria. If you want to know more information about those Arizona classes or even the class he's teaching up in Seattle, I would encourage you to click that link that's showing up in your social media channels right about now, because Joanne's she's probably already on it. She's probably posted those links for me because she's that good. Our unsung hero behind the scenes, Joanne. If you, again, want to take a class, there's free classes, paid classes, community events, and much, much more. I think for some of you Steve Moses is doing a special event today. I forgot what center he was at, but he mentioned, I think he's up in San Jose, doing a special grad event tonight. If you're a grad, hey, contact the local center, see if there's some space available. And all of you, if you're graduates, stay in touch with your counselors, talk to them, see if there's special events. Again, if you want to see Ron Lembo, click that link showing up in social media to tell you which center is closest to you. There are 48 physical brick-and-mortar online trading academies around the world to help you understand how to navigate these financial markets. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When I come back, I have the economic calendar and earnings calendar information as well. We've been going through a pretty crazy earnings season so far. We'll see what tomorrow entails right after a short break.
We've never seen a platform created with the driving principle of helping people consistently make better trading decisions. We know consistently successful investing and trading is about much more than simply taking advantage of the right opportunities. It's also about passing on the wrong ones. Click helps you score potential trade opportunities and calculate stop levels, customizing risk management to be in line with your personal trading plan. Click is also a smart platform. Because it links to OTA Student Portal, Click can serve a custom experience to every user, based on what they trade, based on how they trade, their experience level, which OTA classes have been completed, and much more. Simple enough for new investors and powerful enough for the advanced trader, all while integrating OTA's award-winning education, tools, and services.
When we walk into a class and talk to students that have been trained by other platforms and now trading on Click, they're just ecstatic. They can't wait to have it all connected to live execution, which will be coming soon towards the end of the year. and everybody here is very, very excited.
I love it. Not only do I love it, everyone I talk to that's used it loves it. It's so simple and easy. Breaking down the process of core strategy to placing a trade is just phenomenal. And it really shortens the learning curve.
It's one platform to get familiar with that you can then apply to futures, forex, options, proactive investor. It's almost like somehow my thoughts have been distilled down into a sequence of steps. This platform, I feel that I could become an expert in a much, much shorter time, but with a great amount of confidence around actually getting to be able to get the screen to look like I want it to. The fact that Click is an online platform is unbelievable. I'm placing a trade that I'm comfortable with and I'm ready to go, bring it on.
This is Power Trading Radio Live. Real people, real money, real trades. Visit us online at powertradingradio.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Power Trading Radio. It is your Thursday edition. I want to thank Ron Lembo for being on the program today. If you would like to take a class with Ron, he'll be teaching in Arizona, also in Seattle. You can find out more information about any classes with Online Trading Academy by clicking that link showing up in your social media channels at Online Trading Academy's YouTube page or Power Trading Radio's YouTube page. As well as for you podcasters, listen to the iTunes right now. Have a great workout at the gym. You can go to powertradingradio.com. Click that free class button to find out more information as well. Now, our housekeeping piece is PBJ says, what platform are you on? That's Click that we're generally looking at here on this program here. That's the Online Trading Academy platform. For some of the data feeds that I don't get yet, because like for Forex, for example, we don't have the data feeds in Click yet, which we will soon. That I'm using other platforms for that. Fink says, what are your thoughts on ENB? Supply zone, thinking about buying puts. Yeah, I'm looking at this one and I agree with you. I agree with you that it looks like it's due for a pullback. It looks like it wants to have a pullback, and TJ will show you a chart here as well soon, so I don't sit there and talk to space. You're coming right up into some areas of supply. I just be real careful with it, okay, Fink? If you're buying puts on that one, this trend that you're seeing on this daily, let's make it a weekly, TJ, just so we can see a little bit better the picture. You're looking at something that's real strong right now, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down. You're coming right up to those overhead supply levels. So I'd be okay with it. You just got to be careful and be able to jump ship if it does rip through those, because the trend that's going right now, boy, it looks like it just keep on going. Let's see. What was the other one? Chadsbury said, what about the repo spike in September? Did we find out the catalyst? Of course we found out the catalyst. It was a cash supply shortage. There's less cash. The Fed has been burning their cash, right? They have been returning it to where they created out of thin air. So what we end up with is a situation where you need money to help support this overnight lending swaps, and there was nothing there for it to happen. So that's what caused it. We did a great session with Bill Addis. If you're an Online Trading Academy graduate, I highly encourage you to join those sessions with Bill Addis. He'll get you more information about that repo market, credit default swaps, all that stuff. He's just a brilliant, brilliant mind. We did some shows. I know they took down a lot of the archives from over the years, just keeping just the past couple of weeks. So there might be that one out there. If not, you'll have to go into the Mastermind or Clubhouse sessions with Bill Addis. All right, TJ, bring me up that economic calendar for Friday. Yeah, it's Friday already? Time flies when you're having fun. If you look here for the U.S., we do have quite a bit of announcements for the U.S. It's really the bellwether, if you will. A lot of it revolving around the housing markets. You've got building permits, housing starts. You also have capacity utilization rate and the UOM, University of Michigan, consumer sentiment, as well as inflation expectations. For the euro, look at core current account and final core consumer price index, retail sales for the UK, and for Canada, foreign securities purchases. As far as earnings go tomorrow, well, we've got two financial institutions, I guess. HDFC Bank, State Street Corporation as well. You have Fastenal, VF Corp, and Schlumberger reporting earnings tomorrow. And then, of course, the Ambassador of Opportunity, John O'Donnell, will be our guest on the program tomorrow. No special guest. I don't think we need to. Well, who knows? A lot of times John will bring on somebody, but I think John and I will probably just catch up. There's a lot to be talking about, certainly with the way these earnings seasons have panned out. If there's something specific that you would like us to talk about on tomorrow's show, send that on in at powertradingradio.com. Click that button that says Power Blast so you get those questions to us. The sooner you do it, the more likely I can get materials prepped, get our research team going, so we've got it all covered for you. Again, we would love to get your feedback. I love the participation that you guys are always giving us on all of our social media channels. So that will do it for today. Again, if you would like to take a class with Ron Lembo, click that link that's showing up in your social media channels or visit powertradingradio.com. Hit the free class button. Until then, happy trading, everybody. We will see you tomorrow.